Millions across Turkey have taken to the streets of their most populous cities to protest against the arrest of Ekrem İmamoğlu, the leader of the country's left-wing opposition party, and in favor of democracy as well as free and fair elections. Since thousands have been detained by police, but the people continue to march. And recently, a certain League of Legends champion has become the figurehead for this movement. These days, video games always manage to find a way to wriggle their way into global mainstream news and events in some form or another. Now, the reasons for this can be both direct or indirect, good or bad, it all depends. But it's almost always interesting and gives us insight into the role this massive demographic of gamers plays in this changing world. And the most recent instance of this happening comes from Turkey. Quick recap, on March 19th, the mayor of Istanbul, Ekrem İmamoğlu, and roughly 100 other associates were arrested by Turkish police on suspicion of a whole bunch of charges, including corruption, bribery, and even supporting terrorism. Now, İmamoğlu is also the leader of the opposition party and the most prominent opponent of the country's current president, Erdogan, and this is ahead of their 2028 elections. So, as you might imagine, İmamoğlu and his camp have since come out against these charges, alleging that Erdogan and his party are behind the arrest to snuff out İmamoğlu as a threat to his re-election. This is not the first time in world history a political opponent has been suspiciously arrested like this, or worse. And it's far from the first time this has actually happened in Turkey. Regardless, after the arrests, much of the general public called bullshit, and as an immediate result, the Erdogan government blocked roads and banned public demonstrations for 4 days, on top of putting restrictions on social media during this time. This, of course, only made things worse. So the good people of Turkey took to the streets anyway, and they did so in the millions, protesting across the country with calls for a snap election, the resignation of Erdogan, and a return to democracy, amongst many other things. Now, what the does this actually have to do with League of Legends? Well, every good movement needs a mascot. And if you've been on Reddit, Twitter, or seen the articles, you may have noticed a recent increase in Sylas posting. This is because the Turkish youth have been using the champion as an icon for their struggles, and I'll tell you why it's perfect. In League lore, the Kingdom of Demacia, despite being largely founded on it, outlawed magic, and this resulted in the creation of mage seekers who would hunt down those using or concealing magic and turn them in. And Sylas, who was afflicted with the ability to sense magic, was essentially used as a bloodhound by the Mage Seekers. Sylas found purpose, but at the same time noticed that magic was actually everywhere, but only the poor were being persecuted. And when Sylas accidentally unleashed the magic that was within himself, he too was hunted down and put in prison. He rotted away in prison in thick, heavy shackles, his arcane sight drained from him for 15 years, until the day of his execution, where he made contact with Lux's skin, unleashing his power again, breaking him out of his captivity. And as Riot's lore explains, he became a defiant symbol of the broken and persecuted in Demacia, a symbol of revolution, which is exactly what he's being used for in real life by the Turkish people today. So these protesters have been using him and his iconography for their cause, slapping him on posters and social media posts that have even gained the sympathy of those within the League community across the world. And that includes the likes of League journalist Ashley Kang and the renowned Turkish top laner for G2, Broken Blade. Turkish CS2 org Eternal Fire, who are top 10 in the world right now, have also come out in solidarity for the cause, along with several other famous Turkish gamers and pros. And Sylas's face is now tied to the movement, and his in-game voice lines of breaking free from shackles, rebellion, solidarity, and freedom have now become a voice for the people. Pretty cool if you ask me, and not the first time a character in popular culture has been used as an icon in protests. Winnie the Pooh was infamously used in the Hong Kong protest as a slight towards President Xi Jinping. Spider-Man has also popped up a bunch of times, the Squid Game guards, and of course, the Handmaidens from the popular novel series. But what makes this instance even more interesting is that Sylas's inclusion in these protests have also had a reverse effect on League of Legends itself. As noticed by Reddit user I'm Poppy, since the arrests, Sylas's pick rate in ranked has doubled in Turkey. And according to DPM LOL, as of March 23rd, Sylas's win rate in Turkey against Demacian do-gooders Garen and Jarvan was 100%. Meaning that Turkish gamers are literally picking their champs out of solidarity. All in all, this is a pretty cool story of gaming intersecting with global events. Not the first or last time this will happen, but I think it's a pretty good indicator of what effect gaming and esports has on us culturally. But as of right now, Imamoglu remains in jail, the protests continue, and Sylas remains a symbol for the Turkish people and their struggle.